there's no better place to start than, well, Lamar Jackson versus Josh Allen. I would say, I know Patrick Mahomes is in the mix, but I would say Lamar versus Josh Allen is the new version of Peyton versus Tom Brady. I mean,
you can certainly make an argument. I still think it's Mahomes versus Allen. Now the thing is, right, is the conversation surrounding this game is, was it more of a Ravens collapse or was it more of a Buffalo Bills comeback? And everybody has said, oh, it's all about the Ravens. How could they blow a 15-point lead? Am I watching the same game as everybody else? Because when it was 40-25, was I the only person that thought all Buffalo needs is one stop? This game was not over. The Bills, I don't know why those fans left the building. I understand the Ravens offense was running over the Buffalo Bills defense, which if I'm Buffalo moving forward, I absolutely do have concerns about. But on the flip side, the Ravens defense really cannot stop the Bills offense either. It was
Ed question why the Ravens decided to punt the ball on that fourth down.
So we'll get into that, but I want to set everything up first. So to me, it was Ed Oliver who stripped the ball, forced that fumble of Derrick Henry. It was the Bills defense who stacked 10 in the box after that and said, okay, Baltimore, if you're not going to get in the shotgun and run a read option with Lamar Jackson, instead if you're going to get an I form and run the ball right up the middle with Derrick Henry, well, then we're going to send 10 people at the box. And that's what Buffalo did. And they got the stop. And then Josh Allen does Josh Allen things. And all of a sudden, yeah, the comeback was real. And so, do I have major concerns about both these teams moving forward? Yes. Was that an all-time classic, not only week one game, but one of the biggest and most classic NFL games in NFL history? Yes. But I hate how we're taking the narrative of, oh my God, the Ravens blew it to, what about Buffalo, who just came back down 15 points and refused to give up?
Yeah. I'm giving more credit to Buffalo than taking away credit from Baltimore in that sense. Because Baltimore beat themselves, but in the same breath, if Buffalo doesn't take advantage of the mistakes by Baltimore, they don't complete this comeback.
But again, what mistake are we talking about? Because if you're talking about the Derrick Henry fumble, to me, that's not a Ravens mistake. That is the Bills making a play on the football. The only mistake I think the Ravens made all night was the situation you talked about, which was the fourth down call, which Collinsworth on the broadcast rightfully brought up before the play on third down. He said, whatever play call they make here on third down should dictate fourth down because you should go for it the way they did 4 years ago to beat Kansas City in that classic week 2 Sunday night game.
Yeah, exactly. But give credit to Buffalo because now if you want to go to the Super Bowl in the AFC, you got to go through Orchard Park in New York. Because for me, they locked up the number 1 seed with this win.
Based off that, are you already declaring Buffalo the number 1 seed? Okay, well, let me ask you this then, based off that statement. If the Ravens had won Sunday night, would you have said the same thing about Baltimore? Did you feel like that game was for the number 1 seed in the AFC?
Yes, I did.
Okay. See, I would think that you probably could be right, but the issue is we still have 16 games to go, and outside of the regulars, Buffalo, Baltimore, the Chargers, we know are going to be good. Even, I'm sorry, Kansas City, they are going to be good. We don't know. I mean, look at the Colts, right? Are they going to be the surprise team this year? Are they going to be the sustainable team? Is New England not as good as maybe book projected them out to be? Like, we don't know yet. Are the Jets going to be a really good team with Justin Fields based on the way they play? So to me, there's just a lot more questions. I think this AFC East obviously runs through Buffalo, but to say they locked up the number 1 seed, I think it's a little bit premature.
Okay, I understand that, but Like, unless Kansas City gets their wide receiver issues figured out, I don't
Well,
see
not
them.
even them. Look at the Chargers. I mean, we'll get into this. Did you see the way they played Friday night when Herbert had time? My Lord, was he accurate? And
Yeah,
Quinton Johnson, if they can get Quinton Johnson for a whole season going the way they did Friday night, along with Keenan Allen at 33 years old, catching 7 passes, the Chargers are a legitimate Super Bowl contender. And I didn't hear anybody saying that before the season started.
yeah. And Denver is nothing to sneeze at either. I
I mean, I don't know. They didn't look that great to me against the Titans. I mean, I thought the Titans beat themselves.
Okay, but in terms of this game, I mean, these are the two best teams in the AFC. You can make an argument for the Chargers. You can make an argument if you really want to for Kansas City, but not right now. These
Oh,
are
I think they can because these two teams have not proven to beat them in the postseason. That's the difference, especially Baltimore. Baltimore now, they not only proved they can't beat Kansas City, they can't even beat Buffalo. So how are we? That's my argument for the Ravens. I cannot take the Ravens seriously as a Super Bowl contender. I don't even know if they have the best quarterback in their division. There, I said it because I know how you feel about Joe Burrow. I cannot take this team seriously as Super Bowl contender when they can't beat the two teams that are better than them.
I would say right now, even though they lost, they still dropped 40 in Buffalo. I would say
They
right.
did in September. What's going to happen come January when the weather's freezing cold out? That's the real answer. I don't give a rip what the Ravens do because the Ravens always win September.
I understand that, which is the opposite of the Bengals, although,
The the Ravens are turning into our Cleveland Cavaliers, Josh. The team that dominates the regular season and gets beat in the second round of the playoffs.
oh, yeah. Um,
Tell me I'm wrong. I mean, show me the evidence. What's Lamar? Something like 3-5 in playoff games?
eh,
And
look,
and hasn't played well, by the way, in a majority of those.
no, he hasn't. You're right. I get that. But for me right now, these are the two best teams in the AFC, and it's generally not close until I see more from the Chargers. I get it. They beat the Chiefs, but now they have to come back and play at the Raiders. The
And that's
Raiders
a
look.
Monday night game that starts at 10 o'clock Eastern. So good luck to all of us who need a Charger or Raider player to win our fantasy matchups. We may be finding out who wins Tuesday morning.
I know, right?
Well,
But
those are the two teams in the AFC. How about this team in the NFC?
yeah,
So I'll go first on this one. Again, I don't think this game was much about the Packers because before the Super Bowl, I predicted the Packers to go to the Super Bowl
you
against the
mean
Buffalo
before the
Bills,
Micah Parsons trade?
even before the Michael Parsons
Because
trade.
you said
Yes.
before the Super Bowl.
Oh, I apologize for that. Yes, before the Michael Parsons trade. In my opinion, this game said a lot more about the state of the Detroit Lions. And Jalen Sandvik, if you're listening to this, I apologize because I tried to tell you during the offseason the losses of Ben Johnson at offensive coordinator and the losses of Aaron Glenn at defensive coordinator is going to hurt the Lions. And the loss of Frank Ragnow at center at offensive line was very significant right before training camp for this Lions team. And they looked it on Sunday. Credit to the Packers, Josh, because they came out and on both sides of the ball, offensive line and defensive line, they battered, they beat up, and they bruised the Lions. And Jared Goff, who I a couple years ago and even a little bit last season was saying, oh my God, he might be the best quarterback in the NFC. Looked like rookie Jared Goff that we saw a decade ago with Jeff Fisher coaching him in St. Louis at the time.
Yes.
That was a statement by the Packers, a team who got swept by the Lions last year. Remember, they got blown out in a weird rain game in Lambeau. I think that was like week 7 or week 8. somewhere around there. It might have even been week 4. But they beat the hell out of the Lions. And to me, you said the Bills, you think have already stamped themselves as the number 1 seed in the NFC, in the AFC. I could argue right now the Packers have made a statement. They have at least stamped themselves as the NFC North champions today.
Yeah, because I thought Detroit would be more of a tough opponent, but it seems like they lost that toughness. Like
They, in my opinion, and again, I'm sure we'll get into it in our other takeaway segments from the other NFC North game last night. But in my opinion, the team that looks like they're going to finish last in the NFC North this year, based off week 1, is the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, I could see that. And here's the thing. The Packers basically gave the Lions a taste of their own medicine, because for the past couple seasons, it was Detroit that was punching teams in the mouth and being physical on the offensive line and the defensive line, with Frank Ragnow leading the way for the offensive side and Aiden Hutchinson leading the way for the defensive side. And yet, Rashawn Gary had his way with the Lions offensive line. When Micah Parsons was in there, he made significant plays.
And there's a couple quotes, by the way, to your point, on Micah Parsons. Now, it's been a debate for a little while now, like 2 or 3 seasons, who is the best right tackle in football, whether it was Lane Johnson of my Eagles or some people have taken Penei Sewell from the Detroit Lions. There are clips out there of Micah Parsons driving Penei Sewell back into Jared Goff. And he's the one that forced the interception down in the red zone at the end of the first half that felt like it completely flipped the game.
Yeah. I think the final score was like 27-13 or something.
That sounds about right. Either 24-10 or 27-13. I think you're right.
But it was not that close.
No, it wasn't. It felt over at halftime. And again, you think about the Lions, right? They go from winning in week 18, beating the Vikings last year, and being the number 1 seed with 15 wins in the NFC. They come out there by a rookie at that time, Jaden Daniels, absolutely lights them up, puts them over 40 on them. Both their coordinators leave. We see and again, I don't take much stock in preseason, but we see in the Hall of Fame game, they get demolished by the LA Chargers. And
with
now
Trey Lance as their quarterback.
Yes. And now they come out in week 1 and they get demolished up front by the Packers. I'm just saying it's not a good sign. And again, I reiterate, for all those people that love Dan Campbell so much, I like Dan Campbell. I'm not going to say he's not a great coach, but I do think he's very rah-rah, and he is not a scheme guy, and he is very coordinator dependent.
Here's my thing with the Packers. By trading for Micah Parsons, they basically said, we're putting all our chips in the middle. We're going for it this season. You know who gets all the pressure now? Jordan Love. Because
yes,
I was on the Jordan Love train before you were. It took you a little longer.
I was even on the train last year. I got on the train before the season started this year.
Yes, but I was on the train before, based off what he did down the stretch last season to get the Packers into the playoffs. And I even, when he led the Packers into the playoffs against and nearly beat the 49ers in San Francisco a couple seasons ago. That's when I got on the Jordan Love train. But, it's all on him now. They drafted a wide receiver in the first round for the first time in 20 years. They trade for Micah Parsons. You've got Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson, Josh Jacobs, Matthew Golden, the rookie, Tucker Kraft. You've got Rashawn Gary, Micah Parsons defensively, Lucas Van Ness. All the pieces are there. Can Jordan Love step up? That's the thing with the Packers.
And of course, we'll see these two rematch on Thanksgiving night.